Tony Stark stands in full Iron Man armor against a royal blue backdrop, holding a comically tiny car key between his metal fingers. He presents this miniature object as a challenge far more terrifying than Thanos or the end of the multiverse itself. Spider-Man reacts in a state of high alert panic, his mask lenses widening into giant circles of fear. He frantically wonders if Galactus has returned to eat the moon, unaware of the mundane nightmare that actually awaits him. The true threat is revealed, a tiny orange egg-shaped hatchback known as the Beast, sitting under a vibrant yellow spotlight. It looks less like a vehicle and more like a children's toy powered by a handful of AA batteries. Tony points a judgmental metal finger at the tiny car, declaring it the official gatekeeper of the suburbs and the bringer of parallel parking. He warns Peter that they are heading toward the ultimate final boss, the New York DMV. Peter stands with his arms crossed and lenses narrowed into flat lines of skepticism. He cannot believe that a hero who swings through the city at 60 miles per hour is being asked to pilot this motorized toaster. Tony leans toward Peter to explain that this is low-profile training and orders him to get into what he calls the bucket. He reveals that the GPS has been specifically programmed to judge Peter's every move. Inside the cabin, Peter grips the steering wheel so hard the plastic begins to warp under his super strength. He tries to center himself, chanting that he is one with the toaster and that the toaster is one with him. Tony is folded into the passenger seat like piece of armored origami, his metal knees nearly touching his chin. He dryly wants Peter to put the car in gear without accidentally punching a hole through the floorboard. We see an extreme close-up of Spider-Man's red-booted foot hovering over the gas pedal against a bright yellow background. He treats the simple act of driving forward like he is disarming a high-yield explosive. The car jerks violently with a massive sound effect as Peter finally engages the engine. Tony's armored helmet slams into the headrest with enough force to make his arc reactor rattle against his spine. The humiliation begins as Peter looks out the window to see a grandmother on a mobility scooter casually overtaking them. He laments that his superhero reputation is officially dying in the front seat of this orange hatchback. Tony sits perfectly still in the passenger seat, offering a calm lecture on the philosophy of modern driving. He explains that speeding is only for people who can't afford legal fees while Peter stares ahead in silence. The calm vanishes as Tony and Peter begin a frantic wrestling match over the steering wheel. The car swerves wildly while the GPS screams conflicting directions, leading to a total breakdown of their mentor-student relationship. Peter suddenly slams on the brakes, causing the car to tilt forward on its suspension as the tires emit a massive cloud of smoke. The vehicle comes to a screeching halt that leaves the cabin filled with tension. The car stops inches away from a very calm pigeon standing on the hood of the Beast. Tony stares through his faceplate, pointing out that a breadcrumb-eating bird is not exactly a planetary-level threat. Peter is unconvinced, leaning forward and frantically pointing his finger at the feathered intruder. He claims the pigeon has villain eyes and insists that his spider sense never makes mistakes about a potential ambush. Tony facepalms in pure armored exasperation against a dark blue background. He officially revokes Peter's birdwatching privileges and orders him to keep driving toward the final stage of their training mission. They pull up to a tiny parking spot wedged between two massive industrial trucks with almost zero clearance. Tony calls this the true final boss, demanding that Peter park the car without scratching a single inch of paint. We see the world through the white lenses of Peter's mask as he eyes the impossible gap. To him, this isn't just a parking maneuver, it is a test of geometry that carries a very expensive price tag. The panic reaches its peak as Peter breaks out in a heavy sweat, his lenses narrowed in focus, the car's proximity sensors begin to beep incessantly, convincing him that the curb is actually moving to spite him. A literal light bulb flickers on above Peter's head as he realizes he has been doing this the civilian way for too long. He decides that a superhero problem requires a superhero solution to get the job done. Peter leans his hand out the window and fires a thin, precise web line at a nearby lamppost with a sharp sound. He uses his tech to take control of the situation in a way no driving manual would allow. Peter leans back smugly with his hands behind his head, looking completely relaxed against a clear blue sky. The car is now perfectly webbed into the spot with flawless clearance and not a single scratch on the body. The victory is cut short as Tony points to a holographic web fluid detected warning on his armored wrist. He tells Peter that using a web line to fish the car into a spot is an immediate disqualification. The walk of shame begins as the two heroes head toward a nearby bus stop against a purple sunset. Peter slumps his shoulders in defeat, knowing his reputation will never recover from taking public transit in costume. As they wait for the bus, Peter finally asks why they were even doing a driving lesson in their superhero suits. Tony reveals the cold truth: the insurance payout is much higher if they crash while in uniform. Please be sure to like, share and subscribe if you really like this dynamic. Thank you.